Like our incumbent MPP, who did not win a seat in his first provincial election, Chris Borgia is running a second time for the opportunity to be Durham's voice at Queen's Park. Chris lives in Durham riding and has worked here most of his life, and his run for office this time is fueled by what he sees is needed in Durham and Ontario right now. Today's guest at Exit 425.
In the main corridor of Exit 425.
Local politicians to connect with families.
What are some unique challenges?
Thanks very much, Steve, for having me.
Exit 425. It's where we live. Chris, thanks for meeting me here at Exit 425.
Thank you for having me. I always enjoy coming to chat and find out what's going on and connect with folks, so I really do appreciate it.
That's awesome. Just remind us, what are your connections with Durham riding?
Durham's a place I love. I'm an outdoorsman, so this is where I've always come to connect with nature. As a child, I was always out in the area. So whether it was hiking, fishing, hunting, camping, I've enjoyed all of it right here. It's been, it's our responsibility to protect that and take care of it. Durham's a community. It's maintained its small town charm. I enjoy the restaurants, the gatherings, the festivals, the markets, the people. I have a lot of good memories here, and I'm going to be honored to serve this community and to bring this voice of Durham up to Queen's Park.
You've been talking to people and knocking on doors. What are you hearing from people in Durham, and how is it different than the last provincial election?
It's different because people are afraid this time. They're scared for what the future is going to hold. Folks who wouldn't give me the time of day in 2022, they're asking me to please help. They've lost their jobs because of these forward budget cuts, or the privatization in their sectors. They've been laid off because there's no houses being built. They're telling me that their Conservative MPP won't even return their calls. They end up reaching out to Jennifer French, who's the NDP MPP in Oshawa. They're saying, she's actually someone who goes and actually does something about the concerns that they have. And they're saying that they're starting to understand more and more that NDP MPPs are actually getting the job done. Every election, rich people, the wealthy people of Ontario, they go out to the polls and they vote. They know the benefits of electing a Conservative government, especially getting their buddies into office. But we, the working class, we've stopped voting. We're allowing the wealthy to speak for us. And people are starting to realize where it's gotten us. So I'm understanding why people are afraid. Our Conservative government, they're taking advantage of these fears. They're hoping to cash in on it. I see people are starting to realize that all the Conservatives are doing is playing games with the people of Ontario. And this really benefits the Conservatives themselves, and it kind of leaves the rest of us hanging. So the people of Durham, they deserve better.
You're a loyal NDPer, meaning you've run for them more than once. What is it about the NDP approach and the leader, Marit Stiles, that is firing your passion in your campaign?
NDP was started by folks like myself, just a regular working class Joe. We're getting back to basics. We know what's important. We're here to take care of business. We're going to fix healthcare system. It's been destroyed over and over again by the Liberal and Conservative governments. We're going to put more money into education. We got to give our children the best education that we can. We need to make sure that schools are safe for students, for teachers, for the education workers. We got to make sure they have enough staff, the support that they need. It's got to be a safe place to learn and to teach. We're going to tackle the cost of living by holding corporations accountable, introducing public options for necessities of living in Ontario. NDP is going to continue with what they've already started, fixing transportation. Jennifer French, NDP MPP for Oshawa, she was the one that introduced the bill to remove the tolls on the 412 and the 418. And that really helped with congestion throughout Durham region. We're going to remove the tolls on 407. We're going to be investing money into more into our transit systems. And yes, when I say that, I mean it's going to be more than just a photo op like Todd did in 2022. We got a lot of support from NDP MPs, so we're going to make meaningful progress in actually bringing a GO station stop right into Durham. We've got long-term plans for housing and supports. We know people are facing homelessness, and I say long-term plans because governments before us have brought in some shelters or affordable housing, and then they just kind of just walk away from it. And we know that doesn't work. And I know tariffs are on a lot of people's mind, and the Cheeto devil there down in the States, he's using bully tactics. I'm in the trades. I've been bullied a lot in my career. If Trump wants to play dirty, let's go. I dig ditches. I bend pipe. I'm an electrician. Who do you think people call when the lights go out and things get scary? So for my promise, my country, I'm here to fight.
How will an NDP government and Chris Borgia stand out from the other parties in terms of, first of all, healthcare?
So like I went through in the previous question there, we have plans on what we're going to do. NDP's been doing this a long time. We're the ones who spearheaded public healthcare in the beginning under Tommy Douglas, right? This is what we do. We bring what people need because we are the people. To leave it up to the governments that have consistently been just chipping away, cutting, axing, whatever it is, and then to rely on them to try and fix it. I'm sorry, that's not how it works.
Education, you just mentioned a few things about education, and one of the things was that you mentioned that you'd make it a better place for teachers to be as well, not just the students, but teachers. And how important is that? And how else will your position on education stand out from others?
Education should hit close to home for all of us. So my girlfriend is a child and youth worker. She's worked with the Kawartha District School Board, and being in that position as a education worker, it's the number one most injurious job in Ontario, and that's above corrections officer. I've talked to many folks who have suffered concussions, bites, scratches. These staff have to wear Kevlar in order to interact with some of the students to stop from being bitten or scratched. And these support workers, these education workers, these child and youth workers, they're not there to be a punching bag. They're there to provide the extra supports to make sure that all of the students are getting access to the education and a safe classroom that they're supposed to have. But because of the amount of budget cuts that we've been facing for the last going on over 30 years now, their role has just been turned into being, like I'd mentioned, that punching bag. And it really does take away from other students in the class. So it's a systemic issue. It's something that needs to be addressed. People are well aware of it. And when you have, students that aren't being engaged at their level, it's going to have detrimental effects throughout. So to be able to actually provide the best education that we can to our kids, that's on us to do. We're supposed to take care of the multiple generations after us. So,
as a tradesman, you probably have more safety rules to prevent injuries, and the majority of your injuries than a lot of these child and youth workers and educational assistants that are getting kicked and bit. And I mentioned in a previous interview with someone about a teacher friend of ours who had a student in their class, and the support for that student was removed, and within a week that teacher was off on because of an injury sustained from that student. So again, you guys in the trades probably have more strict health and safety rules to prevent injury than those people do in as EAs and child and youth workers.
It's a different world in looking at it. There are a lot that could be overlap and learned, but we need to understand that we're dealing with people, and it's not just equipment. So as much as we're like, hey, yeah, if you're going to use that grinder, wear your safety glasses, wear your, the proper personal protective equipment. It's harder to get into when you're dealing with a person and what is the proper
Yes.
personal protective equipment in that. But there is overlap, and you're right that safety background is how we look at that, especially through a lens of labor and supporting the workers, right?
Transportation, again, you shared a few things previously, but you didn't mention a tunnel.
Yeah.
How will you guys stand out?
To throw things out there like that, it's the same tactic you're watching coming out of the States. Just throw out these sometimes ridiculous comments and ideas in order to get a rouse. When you go around the world and you look at the big metropolises, how many of them are investing in more roadways? It's public transit. It's always public transit that you see. The ones who've done it right have done it with a very robust, available public transit system. That's where our money needs to be going. We can support infrastructure for driving as much as, but to have a very reliable, on-time public transit system that's available, it's affordable to everyone, that's the way to go. I've been lucky enough to be able to utilize it more often when I have it available to me. And the system we have, though, it's working as best it can, but that is where development and infrastructure has to go. So if we're going to be tunneling underground, we best be tunneling for subways. I know the cost up front is more than doing like a road level or surface level, but congestion's already a thing. So how are you going to fix congestion by adding more to those roadways? So if we're going to be building any kind of tunnels, we're building subways.
Great. It strikes me that the cost of a tunnel to build a highway, the length that he has suggested, it might be good to take some of that money and buy back the 407. And that's part of your transportation strategy with the NDP, is it not?
We have discussion on the 407 about removing the tolls to help to start alleviating that congestion. I mentioned it earlier, Jennifer French, people of Durham region contacted Jennifer French and said the congestion's getting bad since they put in the 407 and then have the toll for 412 and 418. So she introduced a bill to remove the tolls on the 412 and 418, and it's actually helped with the congestion in Durham region. So she's helped an entire region. So when it comes to that, we've always been more on the research side, and if we're going to spend money, make it count. We have seen the history of the way in which Doug Ford likes to spend his money. He just spent over $2 billion sending one-time $200 checks to the people of Ontario. $2 billion would have hired 30,000 nurses for a year. The use of the money to purchase your vote, because I'm sorry, you don't put out a $200 check at election time. That's a bribe. The waste of money, and he likes to call others out for wasting money. $4 million on attack ads to make Trudeau look silly. The man's doing a great job on his own. We didn't need to spend $4 million on ads. So if you want to talk about accountability with monies, the actions speak louder than words.
The big T word around everywhere right now in Ontario, and certainly the one that the Premier is promoting as the real need for this election that clearly he planned back in the fall when Lisa MacLeod mentioned that she would be retiring from politics as of February 28th. So long before President Trump was even elected at that point. But he's using tariffs as the excuse for this election. So how prepared is the NDP to battle on behalf of Ontario with those tariffs?
The NDP's brought forward plans. We got our Team Canada approach is what we're doing. And, congratulations to Team Canada for their win last night. That was really exciting. I was happy to be watching that. But they're doing their best to try and divide us. We know that's not going to work. That's not going to happen. NDP knows we work better when we work together. So whatever kind of barriers there might be for interprovincial trade or for us to start establishing that, we've got our plan, again, calling it the Team Canada plan, to start working on those, to remove those, to make that trade easier. We've got our Buy Ontario and Buy Canada plans that we're going to be rolling forward. And then we're going to be supporting at the federal level as to what they're bringing in. I know Jagmeet's been one of the more vocal about it when it comes to fighting back against this. We can see what comes from our conservative counterparts. They've been endorsed by Trump. They've been endorsed by Elon. There's a reason why they don't speak so hard against it. I know Ford's trying to act all tough right now, but again, he's taking advantage of people's fears. So he's trying to be Mr. Tough Guy all of a sudden. But we heard it out of his own mouth. He wanted Trump to win. And now we're paying the cost for something that they all wanted. So NDP is here to support the people of Ontario. That's what we've always done. And we're going to continue to do that. And it's a choice for people to make, right? They got to get out there. They got to support their NDP candidates. We know the support's there. And we're the ones who are going to take Ontario back. So
I did appreciate the comment made by Mart Stiles early on in the election when Premier Ford was holding himself as, one of the I don't know what's the word, one of the lead people in negotiating with President Trump and the United States government. And her comment was, "You've seen the deals he's made. Do you want him being your representative to make that deal? When you look at the deal on the Science Center and the deal on the spa, are you sure that you want him making deals for you?" So I thought that was an astute comment. A big issue that's affecting communities across Ontario, and at the provincial meeting of the municipalities of Ontario, they raised this as a huge issue, is homelessness, the poor and the working poor, who are an increasingly large group of people that, among other things, our food banks are feeding. People who have jobs and who have homes, but they're not making ends meet. So what is the approach that the NDP wants to take in terms of this issue?
this has been on NDP's radar for a long, long time, and it's a lot of the work that we've been trying to do when it comes to affordability and making things more affordable. If there's necessities to life, there needs to be some kind of program, process, something in place to make that available to people. We're seeing it at the federal level, trying to roll out the dental care programs, trying to roll out our national pharmaceutical program, which just excites me when that comes into play. The amount of money that people are going to save and the amount of money that our provinces are going to save. And when it comes to homelessness, we've seen the errors of the ways before us over the last 30 or so years. We know coming in and doing little patchwork stuff, those knee-jerk reactions that we've become so used to from our current and previous governments, they don't work if you just come in, drop something down and go, "Oh, look, we fixed it," and then walk away. You got to have some oversight. You got to have responsibility in what you do. So if you come in and build a few affordable homes and say, "Hey, we did the thing," and then leave, those affordable homes just turn into a regular house and they'd sell for the normal prices afterward. Complete communities that include everyone. We're not reinventing the wheel here. This has been done throughout the globe for a long time. We've seen how the process goes. We've seen the positivity out of it, and we've seen how much can come out of actually working together and taking care of a community as a whole. And that includes building homes, but not destroying the area around you just to build it. So, like, I love the riding. I love Durham. I like being in Bowmanville, and I don't want to lose the green spaces we have and the ability to go and do what we do outside and go to the lake and sit by the river. And like, we're not here to lose that. There's a proper way to do it. NDP's been talking about it for a long time. We're going to start implementing it, and then we're going to have oversight and supports to make sure it stays.
Chris, is there anything else that's front of mind, something that you're anxious to make sure people know from your campaign about who you are and why you want to represent them?
Yeah, you've got to go vote. 2022 election, the provincial election there, we had the lowest voter turnout in history. To me, I took that as Ontario voting. The people of this province, they've had enough, so they voted by not voting, not participating. And what was the message Doug Ford got from the province not voting? His message was, oh, the province wants us, we have a majority. No, they don't want you. The province told you that they've had enough of the games that's been played for the last 30 years. But Doug Ford's hoping by cutting funding to education, by cutting healthcare, and providing all of us with easier access to gambling and alcohol, that people of Ontario are going to be too unhealthy, too uneducated, and distracted to act to remove this Conservative government. That's what he's banking on. Conservative government that has been, you mentioned it earlier, they've been using our tax dollars to turn Ontario into a playground for the wealthy. Ontario deserves better than this. We really do. Ontario deserves a government that is understanding to what we're going through as working class people. The NDP was created by working folks so that we would have a representation in Queen's Park. So our voices were heard. So you need to go vote. Go vote, vote Chris Borgia, vote NDP, take Ontario back, because we deserve better.
The fewer people that vote, the more those who want to take advantage of the system will do that. And I don't think it's any news for anyone who's listening, who's listened to other things that I've produced, certainly over this election, that I'm not a fan at all of how this whole thing is being executed, and the fact that it's a year and a half early, and the Premier wants a strong mandate. Well, he has a strong mandate, and he didn't need to replenish or replace that when they made the decision, obviously, to have the election now, back when Lisa MacLeod was thinking about retiring, because they knew well in advance it was going to be February 27th. It wasn't January 1st that he decided to do that. So I'm very unhappy that we're having this election, but it is an election, as I said, so we got to get out there and vote and do our job. Otherwise, more people will take advantage of the system. That's awesome. Chris, where's the best place to find out about your campaign events and maybe some more things about you?
Social media, we're active on social media. You can look me up, Chris for Durham. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. My website's up and running. It's chrisborgia.ontariondp.ca. If you do a little bit of Googling my name, I come right up. Information's there. We share it out where we can. We've got it through message groups, message boards, and stuff like that. So we're always around. We're going to be around this weekend out in the riding the entire weekend. So I'm sure we're going to be running into folks. And then contact information is all available through the website. So you can always reach out to me there.
Chris, best of luck in this campaign. Thank you so much for taking some time from your campaign and various events and to meet me at Exit 425 and to speak to all who will listen and watch. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Always appreciate you having me on. And yes, all the best. And I'm sure we'll be talking soon anyway.
Hopefully next time it'll be as Chris Borgia, MPP.
I'm excited to be there.
Thank you for listening or watching to Exit 425. My name is Steve Ray. Please feel free to contact me at exit425-401@gmail.com and check us out on Facebook, X, Threads, Substack, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Instagram.